Hey, my name is Dale Childress, July 11th, 2021, and this is my story. Years ago when I was 15 years old and we had just moved back to Jackson, Tennessee, I started bowling. I got a job in the concession stand, so I guess just by virtue of being there in environment, I picked up bowling, and not only did I pick it up, I really I got the bug. I wanted to be the best. So I bowled 1 year in the junior leagues, and I don't remember what my average was. It's irrelevant. But the following year, when I was 16, I moved up to the adult leagues. Now, back then, you actually had to sign a waiver that you would forego your right to play collegiate sports because I was playing a sport at an adult level for money. I didn't care. I didn't have no interest in playing collegiate sports, so I thought, what the heck, let's do it. Now, I got to tell you, we're back in the late 70s, and then bowling was so much more different than it is today. Not better or worse, just so much different. Back then, a bowler on the Pro Tour was averaging, 205, 206, the Earl Anthonys, the Mark Roths, the Marshall Holmans, and people like that, the best of their time. Now, local bowlers at the local level are averaging 215 and 220, and pro bowlers, sky's the limit. Lane conditioning is much different. Balls are much different. There's just so many variables that have moved it away from what it was. And again, not good or bad. It's just different. So the environment that I learned in, a really, really good bowler was a 190 average bowler. And in my hometown of Jackson, Tennessee, the leagues were full every single night, 7 days a week, and sometimes back-to-back leagues, meaning we would start at 7, we'd end about 9, and another league would start and go again. So needless to say, then bowling was at its crescendo, if you will. It was just so popular that everybody wanted to be a part of it. And I remember my first year in the adult leagues, we had what we call the top 10 average board. Now, there was probably, I'm guessing, 300 to 400 men bowlers and probably the same amount of women bowlers, but we had men's league and women's leagues. And the number one average bowler was a 189 average. Now, in today's standards, that's like, geez, really, that's all? Back then, under the conditions we bowled under, that was a dadgum good average. That means you could afford to have one open frame if you had a double, or no open frames, because if you strike spare all the way out, no open frames, that's a 190. So literally it means you can't have any open frames other than having a double or a triple or whatever the case may be. I don't remember what my first couple of years were, but the more I practiced, the better I got. And the more I practiced, the better I wanted to get. So I did a thing. Being that I worked there, I could bowl for a dime a game. So I would bowl anywhere from 10 to 20 games a day just to hone my skills. Now, I also did a thing called shadow bowling, which wouldn't be open to the general public. Literally, you'd probably have to work at a bowling center to do this, or just rent some time. There's no pins, there's no rack, no deck, no nothing. It's just the lane and you. You throw your ball at a mark, and the ball hits the ball return, comes right back at you. So when I was like trying to shoot for a 10 pin or the right corner pin or 7 pin, the left corner pin, I may shadow bowl just that one mark for an hour, 2 or 3 times a week. But you hone your skill and you hone your skill, and muscle memory starts taking over. And next thing you know, your average starts climbing. I hit 190 average when I was like 20 years old. And I was like, at that point, I was probably 3rd or 4th in the top 10 because we had some pretty hot bowlers coming up. And again, it had a lot of fire and a lot of heat back in the day. Finally, I got to the point to where I was all in. And my average started going up, 193, 194, 195. And I remember the first year, and I was the first bowler in Jackson prior to, there was one gentleman prior to me that had averaged 200 one time. And I averaged it was like an 81 game average. I averaged 200 exactly. I got Bowler of the Year, won the CD Scratch Championship. The following year, I was still number one. I had a 201 average. Now, those 2 years back then qualified me for the Pro Bowling Tournament tour. Didn't have the money. Bowling didn't pay much at the pro level, so I obviously couldn't have done it. But I was proud that I had worked hard enough and got the skill set and the muscle memory to do it. Why am I sharing that with you? To say this, that anything that you want in life is within your grasp. Let's talk strictly for a minute about my professional life. And I'm going to move into my automotive years of dealership level when I became a service advisor. I wanted to be the best I could possibly be at being a service advisor. So I took the skills and the practice regimen that I had from bowling, took it into the service drive, and I did walk-around training constantly. You know, what happens when a customer comes in, how you greet them, how you treat them. And I role-played this almost daily, just kept doing it. And I got to where I made really, really good money as being an automotive service advisor. And it's an industry that I love and I'm still passionate about. But I saw so many people come through the dealership level that wasn't willing to put in the time to learn. They wasn't willing to hone their skills at whatever cost that might be. I was, and I rose up through the ranks nationally pretty quick. So my challenge to you and what I want you to take away from this story is that what you want is within your grasp if you're just willing to go through the pain to get it. Because the learning curve is the toughest part of it. But once you learn and you build the muscle memory and you keep practicing, then the success will come. But you can't wait and expect others to do it for you. Yeah, you need good leadership that's going to push you and encourage you. But the main encouragement you need is from yourself. So I think that was just a good story to share about some of my years in bowling. I got so many wonderful stories about bowling that dadgum over the course of the next, hopefully, years that I do this little podcast, and I can share some of the fun stories I've had, some of the tough times that I went through. Because it's like any sport, the thrill of victory and the agony of defeat. You know, you can bowl your best game ever, but if the guy you're bowling against bowls one pin better than you, then you lose, even though you had a great game, and it doesn't really matter at all. So anyway, that's my story today, and who knows, I might do another story, but look forward to seeing you soon.